Due to extensive forest fires, a community in British Columbia will be exposed to smoke pollution for 3 weeks. Smoke from forest fires is made up of a mixture of carbon monoxide, water vapor, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, hydrocarbons, volatile organic compounds, and several thousand other compounds. However, the two agents in wildfire smoke most likely to cause adverse health outcomes are particulate matter and carbon monoxide. Wildfire smoke contains particulate matter 2.5, which can be inhaled into the deepest parts of the lungs, causing a multitude of symptoms like coughing, wheezing, inflammation of airways, and development of asthma, whereas particulate matter 10 usually irritates the eyes, nose, and throat. Carbon monoxide enters the bloodstream through the lungs and reduces the amount of oxygen available to the body, which can cause headaches, dizziness, vomiting, and nausea. However, carbon monoxide concentrations associated with wildfire smoke do not pose a significant health hazard except to those already affected by pre-existing respiratory or cardiovascular diseases. Those who are affected will often experience chest pain and cardiac arrhythmias. Short-term health implications associated with exposure to wildfire smoke include irritation to the nose, throat, and eyes, as well as difficulty breathing. But in general, short-term smoke exposure will not have major long-term effects. Long-term health implications include a permanent reduction in lung function, the eventual onset of bronchitis, exacerbation of asthma, as well as complication with cardiovascular disease. While healthy adults and children usually recover quickly from any adverse health effects, vulnerable populations such as older adults, young children, pregnant women, and individuals with pre-existing cardiovascular and respiratory disease are at a greater risk of ill health associated with wildfire smoke. In particular, older adults are among the most vulnerable as they are likely to have pre-existing heart and/or lung diseases, which renders them more susceptible to particle-associated effects.
Federal and provincial organizations will routinely monitor air quality in order to determine exposure to hazardous particulates and calculate the associated health risks. 3 methods of air quality assessment recommended by the BC Centre for Disease Control will be used to provide twice-daily reports of air quality. The first is remote sensing using satellites, which will give information about the type of air pollutants and help identify the trajectory of smoke plumes. The second is forecasting modeling, which will provide prospective information for smoke concentrations over time and in different areas. And the third is continuous instrumental monitoring using the tapered element oscillating microbalance sampler, which will report real-time particulate matter concentrations. These combined assessment methods will produce more reliable reporting, as the strengths of each method offset the limitations of the others. Health warnings and recommendations will be provided from current air quality data and will be updated in accordance with changing air qualities. The medical health officer recommends several strategies to reduce local residents' exposure to smoke pollution, with special consideration for the community's substantial population of older adults. The first line of defense against smoke pollution is to stay inside with doors, windows, and other possible points of entry closed and sealed. According to a 2016 EPA guide for wildfire smoke exposure, this can reduce your exposure to particulate pollution by at least 1/3. Air conditioners that recycle and filter indoor air can further reduce the risk of smoke exposure, and activities that increase rate of breathing, like exercise, should be avoided. Older adults, young children, pregnant women, and individuals with pre-existing cardiovascular disease or respiratory issues should further reduce their time spent outside. But be aware, more time spent inside without air conditioning can increase the temperature of homes, causing heat stress, which is just as much a health hazard to vulnerable populations as exposure to air pollutants. These individuals should arrange to stay with relatives or friends with air-conditioned and cooled homes, or in clean air shelters, as identified by the BC CDC and Public Safety Minister. Clean air shelters will also be made available to those without shelter. Finally, as climate change increases the severity of wildfires in already high-risk areas, individuals living in these areas should create a clean room in their home, a room with as few windows and doors as possible, equipped with a filtered air conditioner and air cleaner, and that is kept clean in case of smoke pollution.
If residents' exposure to air pollution from wildfire smoke is reduced, and if vulnerable populations are identified and further protected, serious health outcomes will be avoided. While these protective health measures will prevent illness, they will not prevent the continuing threat of forest fires. In order to reduce the number of forest fires likely to occur in the future, we must take aggressive action against climate change as well as prevent high-risk environments from developing. Controlled burns to clear away floor brush and advanced monitoring systems can help mediate the effects of inevitable forest fires, but large-scale changes must be made as soon as possible.